So I know you've all been wondering, what are we going to do next in our 5-minute devotionals now that we've finished 1 John? Well, let me tell you, we're going to start looking at some of the Psalms. Now there are a lot of Psalms, so we won't do them all, but we'll do some of them. And you can find Psalms in the Bible, and you can also find them in a prayer book. If you have a Book of Common Prayer, they're in there too. And this is the version that we read on Sundays. That's arranged nicely to be able to be read back and forth and stuff like that. But the Psalms are the lyrics from ancient songs, the worship songs basically of ancient Israel. So imagine if it's 1,000 years from now and nobody remembers the worship songs that we sing in youth group or at church, but somehow the PowerPoint slides with the lyrics were preserved. But we don't have the tunes anymore. We just have the lyrics. So that's kind of what the Psalms are. But they are in Scripture. And so we believe they are inspired. It would be cool to know what they sounded like. And a lot of people, including people that you know, have reset them to newer music. And sometimes you go through a song and you're like, oh, I recognize the words of this psalm. It's actually from a song that I know. Because because they were songs, they make really good songs to be rewritten. So anyway, we're going to start with Psalm number 1. Here we go. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water, that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers. The wicked are not so, but are like chaff that the wind drives away. Therefore the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked shall perish. So the big idea of this psalm is, where do you get your counsel? Now the word counsel is like advice. Or where do you get the ideas that you're going to live your life by? And the psalm talks about two different kinds of people. Those that get it from the law, so in their day it would be the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, but we could take this as talking about the whole Bible. Do you get where you think about the ideas that run your life? Do you get them from what God has to say? Or do you get them from what it calls the counsel of the wicked? That doesn't necessarily have to be people who are like evil, like villains or something, but things that go according to the world systems that are bad or corrupt or misunderstand the way things have to be. So in our context, one example would be I like all kinds of music. I like lots of different kinds of music. But let me tell you, if I ran my life by what I found in the lyrics of most of the pop songs, either today or from the last 40 years, I would not be a great way to live my life. But much better is to live your life according to what God says. And the psalm includes a metaphor about this. So the person who follows God's way is like a tree with deep roots. And when a big storm comes, we've had some storms at summertime, you can see the trees swaying. You know, if we were at Crosswoods and a big wind and you're up in the high ropes, you can kind of feel them sway back and forth. But they don't fall over because they've got deep roots, and those roots keep it secure in the ground. Now, of course, sometimes trees fall over. It's an imperfect metaphor. But he contrasts that, whoever wrote this psalm, with chaff. And you probably don't know what chaff is, but it's part of grain that gets sifted out, and it's really, really light. It's like confetti. So this is an extreme example. So following God's way is like being the sturdy tree in a forest. It's not going to be blown over very easily, compared to something you could just go, and it's gone. So this is the basic idea of Psalm 1, and it sets up all the rest of the Psalms. Blessed is the one who, or happy is another way of saying that, whose delight is in what God has to say. And they walk in what God has to say and take delight in that. And don't walk in the ways of wickedness or of misunderstanding what life is about.